This Defeating Adventism video was really inspired by a fairly recent video from Mark Finley. Look with me here on screen. You see this clip from the YouTube video that he posted on, you can see September 3rd, 160 years ago, an angel was here. And so what Mark Finley's going to do is he's actually standing on the battlefield in Manassas, Virginia. I too have been there myself, traveled to Virginia many times. He's going to recount the Battle of Manassas, also called Bull Run. You can see the names are interchangeably because that's where you're going to hear about a retreat took place through Bull Run. This battle occurred on July 21st, 1861. I'm going to say that date many times, and I want you to remember that date. There's a reason why it's going to be repeated. From all accounts, Mark Finley does a fine job in the video of recounting history, except for one exception that we're going to see, and I'm going to highlight that in the video. You're going to see a total of 6 clips. The first 5 are going to be played in order. The last one will not, and I'll explain that when we get to it. The first 5 clips are going to be explained in order with a very brief commentary by me on the key point to remember, because when we get through all 5 clips, then we're going to do a summary of the key points. The clips have been edited to edit out the lengthy historical narrative that Mark Finley does in the videos, because I really want to focus on that which pertains to Ellen and her vision of this battlefield. So we're going to begin here with the first video clip. Watch with me here.
I'm here at the Manassas Battlefield in Manassas, Virginia. It was here 160 years ago that an angel came down from heaven and divided the north and southern forces. It is an absolute incredible story, the story of a divine miracle. All
right, the point I want you to remember on this clip is we got an angel coming down to divide the northern and southern forces. Now, for those of my international viewers, this is the American Civil War that took place in the mid 1861, 1865, I believe, are the dates. So that's what this whole video is about. Let's watch clip 2.
But now back to Manassas. On July 21, 1861, the first battle of the Civil War took place right here in Manassas.
All right, so the Battle of Manassas took place what? I said it once already. I want to say it again for a second time. July 21st, 1861. That's the key takeaway from that clip. Let's watch clip 3.
During the time that they were doing that, pushing back the southern forces, General Jackson came to the ridge and held his ground. Let's go out to that ridge, and let's go out to the very place where the angel came down, see why this angel came down, see what he did, see how this relates to prophecy and how it relates to the history of the Civil War. It's an amazing story, so come with me out to that very ridge where we can look at the spot where the angel came down.
Now we got Mark Finley is going to actually walk out to the place on the battlefield, showing us where the angel supposedly came down. Remember from clip 1, this angel came down to separate the northern and southern forces as they were battling. Let's watch clip 4.
It is the bloodiest war in American history. Over 600,000 people died in that war. But back to the Battle of Manassas. As the forces fought back and forth, the northern forces, for some strange reason, seemed to be confused on the battlefield and began to retreat.
So in this one here, the point I want you to remember is there's this mysterious occurrence of why the northern army mysteriously just ran away and retreated. And that's because, well, the angel came down and scared the bejeebers out of them, is what he wants you to believe. Now, this last clip is very long. 2.5, 3 minutes. Please endure it. I know I'd rather grind my teeth or nails on a chalkboard sometimes than listen to Mark Finley and these celebrity Adventist false teachers. But he's going to show us the vision that's going to come out of this book here, Testimonies Volume 1. I'm going to show you another vision in Testimonies Volume 1 later, too, by the way. So there's no need for me to go into great detail and show it. He's going to show it on screen. It is accurate. It's on page 266 and 267. Nothing wrong with it there. So watch this very long clip with me.
where was God in this war? And why was it that there was not much more slaughter that day? Ellen White, whom Seventh-day Adventists believe had prophetic visions. Ellen White, who Adventists believe spoke for Jesus. She had the testimony of Jesus, gives us an explanation of the Battle of Manassas, and she gives us an explanation of what happened right here. It is an incredibly remarkable explanation. Here in one of Ellen White's visions, she writes about what took place on this very place. She says, I had a view of the disastrous Battle of Manassas, Virginia. It was a most exciting and distressing scene. The Southern Army had everything in their favor and were prepared for a dreadful contest. The Northern Army was moving on with triumph, not doubting that they would be victorious. Many were reckless and marched forward boastingly as though victory were already theirs. Now remember, they came from Washington, 35,000 of the Northern forces, and remember they thought the war was going to be so short that up there on Matthews Hill that you have some congressmen and some aristocratic women and men that are sitting there with their picnic baskets. So they thought it was going to be short. Notice, as the Northern forces neared the battlefield, this is Ellen White's writing now, many were almost fainting through weariness and want of refreshment. They did not expect so fierce an encounter. They rushed into battle and fought bravely and desperately. The dead and dying were on every side. Both the North and the South suffered severely. The Southern men felt the battle, and a little while would have been driven back still further. So Northern forces are coming through this field. You see that little tree? Keep that in mind. They're coming. Southern forces are now on this hill. Jackson is standing here on his horse. That's where he's called Stonewall Jackson. But notice, the Northern men were rushing on, although their destruction was very great. You're going to find this in the testimonies. Ellen White wrote a series of testimonies, and this is the first volume of those testimonies, page 266 and 267. Then it was explained. So the angel explained to Ellen White exactly what happened here. Then it was explained that God had this nation in his own hand and would not suffer victories to be gained faster than he ordained. He would permit no more losses to the Northern men than in his wisdom he saw fit to punish them for their sins. I saw just then an angel descended, waved his hand backward. Instantly there was confusion in the ranks. It appeared to the Northern men that their troops were retreating when it was not so in reality. A precipitate retreat commenced. It was wonderful to me. Now look, here God explains what happened in this battle. That there, by that tree, 160 years ago, July 21, 1861, an angel came down from heaven, divided the Northern and Southern forces, created confusion in the battle. The Northern forces retreated across that hill. Can you imagine?
So what's he saying in this clip? Ellen White, they believe, say Seventh-day Adventists believe, she has prophetic visions. She gives an explanation in this prophecy here on the Battle of Manassas, page 266 and 267. He says, and he's right, and he shows the whole, pretty much the whole vision, and the vision says what? God did not allow victories to be obtained faster than he wanted. God killed the Northerners for their sins, some of them anyway. An angel came down, waved his hand, caused the confusion, and that explained what happened. Let's summarize this again on this next slide. You can see here, Battle of Manassas, also known as Bull Run, July 21, 1861. An angel intervened. Ellen White's prophetic vision explains that there was an angel there, causing this mysterious northern retreat, because God's not going to allow a victory faster than he ordained. God killed some of the Northerners, primarily for their sins, and this is all recorded in Testimonies Volume 1, page 266, 267. Here we go with problem number 1, timing. Let's look at Testimonies Volume 1. You can see it here. There's my copy I just held up in my hands. Copyright 1948. There's page 266, right, where Ellen said, I had a view of the disastrous Battle of Manassas. We go to page 267, which you saw in the video, which says what? Just then an angel descended and waved his hand backwards, instantly causing confusion in the ranks. Okay, so that is the prophetic word of Ellen White. But we're going to go to the very front of this, where all these Civil War prophecies are given. And she says on what? January 4th, 1862, I was shown some things. Okay, cue the screeching tires. You see that? The Battle of Manassas took place when? July of 1861. This vision came when? January of 1862. We got a vision looking backwards here, folks. Ellen White is doing this, by the way. This is great. Here's an old newspaper. I can see Ellen White sitting in her house going, yeah, she's reading about the Battle of Bull Run in Manassas, going, oh yeah, look at all these accounts of this. Oh yeah. Oh, I think I'm going to have a vision. It was found in the newspapers. Look with me here on screen. Here's just 3 examples. Remember, this was July 21st, 1861, the battle took place. So here's July 29th. About a week after, the Daily Dispatch is reporting from the Richmond Dispatch about the Battle of Manassas. Let's look at this one here. A little later, August 7th. Yeah, so it's, a couple weeks, 10 days old. Here's the historical account, Battle of Bull Run. Here's another newspaper from New York. 6 days after the actual battle, the Battle of Bull Run. So Adventist, your prophet, was doing what I just did. Got a newspaper and said, oh, let me, Battle of Bull Run, Manassas, my vision, my angel, and tells me about the battle. Gets her vision in January of 1862 for a battle that took place in July of 1861. Figure. Problem number 2. Historical facts. Battle of Manassas. Here's a painting, historical depiction. I'm going to go to America's historian group. You see here is what's often called, it's the Smithsonian Castle. It's the red brick building. I've been there many, many times myself. Well, the Smithsonian, again, American's historian, has written up an article on the Battle of Bull Run. Look at what they say with me here. Follow in the red text. Struck by this fresh wave of rebels. In other words, here we're in the middle of the battle, and the northern side is struck by a fresh wave from the south, or the rebels. McDowell's exhausted troops started, that's a northern general. Because they were struck by this fresh wave, the northern troops started to retreat. Look at the next line. The Confederates charged again, sending the Federals, or the northern troops, reeling back towards Bull Run. They started to retreat because they got hit heavy by fresh troops. Then it says what? McDowell and Burnside, 2 northern generals, tried and failed to halt their troops from retreating, but it didn't work. And then you can see when the next part of highlighted text, it says, but Stuart's cavalry harried them. That's General, I think he was a general, Jeb Stuart, harried them. That's a nice way to say he's continuing to fire upon them. They are continuing to die in this retreat. And as you're retreating, and if you see others around you starting to die, you know what happens in that? You either turn around and fight, or what? Look at the next line. The panic began. Utter confusion set in. Pleasure cartridges, gun carriers, ambulance, they were all abandoned because they were in retreat and they were still being fired on. And then panic set in and they said, that's it, we're out of here. Why? Because a fresh wave of cavalry troops, that is, hit them. They kind of started to retreat and they didn't let up in the retreat. They kept firing and killing them, and then they panicked and then they ran. Is that an angel? No. We learn from the American Smithsonian why they retreated. Because they were hit by troops that forced them to retreat. Problem number 3. World wars. Look with me here. This is just one page from Wikipedia of wars going on at the same time as the American Civil War. But you know what Ellen White said? Ellen White said, oh, some of the northern forces, they were killed for their sins. Why is it just the American northern forces that were killed for their sins and not any of the others? We got wars going on here. Look at this. In Colombia, in Chile, in the Kingdom of Italy. But only the American northern forces were killed for that. And the American northerners were what? They were fighting against slavery. And the South was fighting to keep the institution of enslaving human beings intact. So God is going to kill the side that's fighting to eliminate slavery? I don't know. This Ellen White and her visions are just confounding. Let's move to point number 4. We are going to look here, testimonies for the church, just like we looked at, and the same Civil War prophecies, and I'm calling this Ellen's Confused Angel. Because look with me here on page 259. It says what? Said the angel, this nation, she means the United States, is going to be humbled into dust. England is studying whether to enter the Civil War and humble the American nation to dust. So the angel, so it's not a commitment. England is studying. They're not committed one way or the other. But we read on in Ellen's prophecy, and then what's it say? Look down with me on the page. When England does declare war, all nations will have an interest of their own to serve. So in the beginning it says, well, England's studying it. And then we get to the end and it says what? When they do enter the war. Well, you know what happened? England didn't enter the war. Were they studying it? I don't know. But Ellen says when England does declare war, which they never did. Here's another false prophecy of Ellen White. This video is a twofer. We get this false prophetic vision of Ellen White of England entering the war, the American Civil War, and we get this false angel who supposedly confused the forces. Well, now you know why the forces were confused, because they were in retreat and still being fired on. Last one, problem number 5, as we wrap this up. Is a prophecy forward-looking or backward-looking? This last video clip, very short one, you're going to see, by Mark Finley, occurred in near the very beginning of this whole video series. Let's watch that short clip.
Prophecy helps us look forward to the future. Fulfilled prophecy in the past gives us confidence in the prophetic word in the future.
So in this clip, Mark Finley what? Describes the prophecy, I'm reading it here. Prophecy helps us look forward to the future. Fulfilled prophecy in the past gives us confidence in the prophetic word in the future. Dale Ratzlaff says there's 2 kinds of a dentist. Those which deceive and those which are deceived. Which one is Mark Finley? Does he not know what you just saw in this video? This vision of Ellen White from January of 1862 for a battle that took place 6 months before. Could be found in all the local newspapers. That's not forward looking. That's backward looking. And then she injects her own into that. So you can tell me, what is Mark Finley? Is he a deceiver or is he deceived? I don't know. Let's look with me here on the last slide. Ellen White is biblical. And Jesus tells us, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing. They look like Christians, they smell like Christians, they act like Christians. They're not Christians. How do we recognize them? We're going to recognize them by their fruits. Because the fruits of a false prophet are false prophecies. And you just saw 2 of them here from the false prophetess Ellen